Hello, everybody. Welcome to Global View. Today, an exceptional guest. I'm particularly proud to introduce Antonio Sabato Jr., best known as Anthony Sabato Jr., a
Thank
Hollywood
you.
actor everybody knows, who has an outstanding career in modeling as well. He was the face of Calvin Klein and who shares the same route as I do. He was born in Rome and then he followed the American dream. Girls like me were following by watching shows like Melrose Place, Beverly Hills, General Hospital, Bold and the Beautiful, and how many more. Anthony, welcome to Global View.
Ciao, ciao, come va? Tutto bene? Hi, everybody. Thanks, George. How you doing, pal? How are you? Looking good, you guys? Thank you
Eh,
for having me on. Appreciate it.
Thanks so
Grazie
much.
a te, è un onore averti con noi. It's a pleasure to have you
That's
here.
that's
Anthony, let's start. So walk us through your wonderful career in Hollywood and modeling. I mean, I think everybody wants to hear about the golden age of Hollywood before it became what it
yeah.
became.
That was good times. I don't know. We moved to Los Angeles from Rome, Italy, in 1985. My sister, my mom, and my dad with dreams, aspirations to do better. I wanted to be an actor since I was a little boy. My father was an actor. He made a lot of great films.
Mm.
Grand Prix, one of them. Three Academy Award winners. My father drove the Formula One team with the Ferrari team. One of the
Wow.
biggest movies in the '60s. And my father became a huge star in Italy. And then we had situations growing up. You know, we lost a house to a fire, so we lost everything in Italy that we ever had. And I was a little
Mm.
boy, and there was a big fire in Rome, and so I can relate to losing everything to fires. Believe me. And we picked ourselves up, kept living in Italy until my parents wanted to bring us here to the States and have a better future for me and my sister. And the opportunity came where they had to apply for all the green card procedures and did everything legally by the
Like
book.
me.
Yeah, never took a dime from the welfare programs. My parents worked really hard. I had to stay, do the green card thing. I also had to do the military thing when I was a teenager from Italy, as you know. So I had to do paperwork from Italy, the government, and the American government. Everything was done right. And then in 1996, I officially became an American citizen in Los Angeles, and I have dual citizenship, as you know, and it's been great ever since by doing a lot of amazing stuff. I mean, I've done everything. I mean, I've done so many things in my life, and looking back, and I'm very fortunate. And now I'm part of my town, Tampa, which I love. It's one of the most beautiful cities in the world. And I'm part of a huge project. We're building the amazing hotel, private residences, and downtown Tampa. It's called Aura, which, you know, from acting to motor racing to doing everything in between. And now I'm building this town. It's in this country has done that for me. So I am. I'm very respectful and honored to be called an American citizen and what this country's done for me and the opportunities, man. I can't tell you. So I love America more than anything.
Thank you. And I completely relate to that. You actually are the embodiment of the American dream. You come from a
Thank
wonderful
you.
country like Italy. You bring the genes of a fighter. I always say Italians are gladiators, emperors, ancestors. So we have
Yeah.
this fight inside of us. But,
Yep.
walking into Hollywood, you're the one that made it. You made it as a legal immigrant coming from Italy. So you had to conquer even your citizenship. Nothing was
Yeah.
for granted. So,
Yeah.
which are the obstacles you found at the time? I mean, was this wokeism, hysteria, not even in the scenario at all, or you had to deal with now we can hire only this type of color, gender, and this kind of things, or it was more like a free art, free creativity?
Back in the '80s, my father made a lot of movies before we came to the States. He even made movies in America, France, all over the place. And we're talking about the '60s and '70s, and I was born in the '70s. And so my father, throughout those years, worked in Europe a lot. But when we came to the States in 1985, my father wasn't hired anymore because he had an accent.
Mm.
You
Yeah,
know,
well,
Hollywood is, you know, that we live in a society where everything goes with the flow. So for this season, we're not going to have the Latinos. For this season, we're not going to have the this. And then for this season, we're going to open up this thing. And then they change it. They do what they want to do, right? Whatever suits
mm,
Hollywood to make more money. So at the time, if you had an accent, if you had a heavy accent, you wouldn't be able to work unless you were going to be like a bus boy or like an immigrant part, kind of, the usual things, right? But now it's more freely everything goes. Actually, they took it to a whole new level. But Back then, I think it was, racial issues and things in Hollywood and how they hired people based on countries and things. It's just the way it is. It's political in every sense, in every major business's career, whatever. There's just that thing, where everybody's fighting for the same job, and political things come in, and I don't know. I just grew up in different environments of this business, and but the '90s was pretty cool. I love the '90s. That was really cool times, and even the '80s. But it's a different world now. The business has changed, streaming and all kinds of things, and how
Mm.
you get your information, where you get it. It's incredible. It's a whole different world now. A whole different world.
Thank you. And what you think is, do you think movies are restricted today by all these rules? I mean, I think Hollywood is over politicized, so we can't really
Yeah.
enjoy the content. When I watch, for example, series from the 80s and 90s, you can swear, you can be politically incorrect. Right now, everything is so, in the rule is kind of becoming a little bit too much.
I think that's why we're stuck
Yeah.
watching movies in the 80s and the 90s and the early the early
Right?
2000s. I don't
Yeah.
even remember the last time we actually enjoyed a movie the last 5 to 10
Well, go
years.
check
So,
out my movie. I'm very proud of this one. You can
but
rent it or buy it on Amazon Prime. It's called Grace by Night. And if you like the '80s, and if you like entertainment, if you like movies that have a story, motivational story where it just moves you, and by the time the movie's over, you feel better with yourself. This is a film that I produced with some really amazing people. We shot it in Birmingham, Alabama. It's out now. It came out a few months ago, and it's called Grace by Night. And these are the type of films that I want to make. My next film that comes out in April, which we shot in Detroit a few months ago. We were putting these movies together. Another thing, we could put movies together so fast and edit them and put, like, before it would take years.
Yeah.
And also it would take so much longer, but that's a different story, just the equipment and everything. So we shot this other film that comes out called 426, based on Ephesians 426, about a couple that's dealing with a lot of dark issues in their lives, and how they overcome a marriage together in a loving relationship, dealing with all this darkness around them in this life that we live in, that they're living in, and being attacked by the devil. And we're going to release that film. And these are really good entertainment. This is a horror entertainment, really like intense film. Grace by Night, sorry, is a movie about redemption, motivation,
mm,
and anybody can see these films. I want to entertain people. I want to be able to make movies that people are just happy from all kinds of backgrounds and way of life, like it used to be. And that's the thing. I don't want to put my movies in a Christian faith based genre or this. My films, the way I'm going to promote them and the way I'm going to talk about a film for everybody, that you're going to feel better with yourself. And they're great stories, stories that you can relate to, performed amazingly, shot like you would think that would cost millions and millions of dollars, and we're saving money. And we're also giving so much opportunities to all the crews, all the people that work with us from all waves of life, um, who need work in our industry. That's another thing. It's like in
True.
Hollywood, you got to have permits, you got to have a SAG membership, you got to have all these unions, all this stuff. What about just people who want to make movies? They want to, making a film shouldn't be regulated. You want to make a film, you have a camera, you're an artist, make your freaking film, and that's what we're doing. And a lot of people have woken up, and that's why we make our movies in Detroit, we make our movies in Alabama, we make our movies in Texas. We don't have to go to Hollywood.
Yeah.
We're welcome to work with them, but if they don't want to work with us and they have this woke agenda BS that we don't want to be associated with, then fine. But we're going to keep making movies that are going to entertain and move the world, just like Grace by Night is doing. And that's my goal. You know?
yeah, you made a really interesting point about how movies have shifted and becoming more personable and talking about real life stories and probably most importantly, cutting the middleman, which is Hollywood. Just the way the mainstream media has
Yeah.
completely been disintegrated. You have all these offshoots now streaming.
Yeah.
Shows like ours, obviously, you have other shows that are probably even more popular than most channels on Fox or even MSNBC, CNN. So,
Yep.
are you saying that Hollywood now is in a state of redevelopment, recreation, and movies like yours and producers and directors like you are the future? Or is there still going to have to be some sort of role for an institutionalized Hollywood in filmmaking?
It depends. It's very hard, obviously, not to have a distribution company or have
Mm.
those
Mm.
tools that would actually release those films. But you also can release those films on streaming, and there's other ways as well. I think what saddens me the most is the fact that every time you talk about Hollywood, there's a negativity attached to that word. And Hollywood used to be a prestigious, glamorous,
I agree.
honor, dignity, all those things were associated, bigger than life stars, where you're part of Hollywood or part of something luxurious and prestigious. Now it's not. Now people go out and they take this Hollywood and they're trashing it in a way. Instead of all these years, hundreds of years of making films. We're talking about in the 20s. I mean, Hollywood has been around since the 20s and in a magical way, changing the world. I mean, look at the movies made in the 70s, and you have Scorsese and you have Coppola. So right now, you don't even know who's making these films. There's that aroma of Hollywood, the classic, is gone, and I want to bring it back. I want to be able to talk about Hollywood in a good way when we're making movies in Hollywood, whether it's the location Hollywood, which, by the way, not a lot of films shoot in Hollywood anymore because it's too expensive. To go to Hollywood, actually the Hollywood area in Los Angeles, or shoot anywhere in California, the permits, the
Mm.
unions, everything costs 3 or 4 times as much. Parking cars, getting the police to come there to watch you to do this for 2 hours to shoot a scene, and then you have to do everything non-union, and then the union gets on your back if you're doing non-union work. I want to make a movie. I just want to make a film. And then you have to distribute the film. You have to make sure that some theaters buy it. And then the theater business has kind of changed. So what we're doing, I'm talking to people that are a lot smarter than me in the business, who have been wanting to build studios, who want to just make their films, have in-house distribution, in-house everything. That's what we're trying to do. Make it in a way where we don't need anything. We have everything in-house, and we're going to build on that. And we're just going to stay our own lane and make our own movies to entertain and move people. Uh, and in the core of all this is the humanity, the love, God, all those things, family values, all those things but in the real way. I don't want to make cheap movies. I don't want to make movies that you talk about. Anytime you talk about movies made about family values, they're like, oh, it's a low budget movie and nobody's going to see it. I'm like, no, I don't want that. I want
Mhm.
a studio movie like film where you walk like Grace by Night, where we were able to do a film for very cheap comparison to a Warner Brothers or Disney movie. And they walk away going, man, you spent like millions on that film. I said, no, we didn't. We didn't spend millions, but we came with an artistic value. We worked extremely hard. We had no days off. We did it the whole fashion way, guerrilla style type of deal, but everybody was happy and nothing was missing. And we made a film that's going to stay with us forever. And I want to continue doing that. I'm doing the best work I ever done, and I want to continue to do that. Otherwise, if I don't have the chance to make movies, I'm good working on Aura hotels. I'm good working on my building, and I don't need to make a movie ever again. So either way, I'm in a good place. I feel sorry for a lot of actors, my friend, that are scared to speak, that they rely on their paycheck and their SAG, this and that, or the guest starring on the TV shows, but they'll never speak the truth. And I don't want to be that way. I don't want to be owned by anybody. I don't want anybody to tell me, "Oh, shut up! Don't wear your cross, or don't do this, or don't do that, don't do this, don't do that." Or your manager calling you and saying, "Listen, you're my client, and these casting directors have to be treated a certain way. You have." It's like everything has a rule, and everything has to be. You have to be a certain way, and if you go to these parties, please don't talk about Trump or don't do that. Listen, I do whatever I want. I talk whoever I want. I don't hurt anybody. I try to help people, and don't tell me how to live my life. So I live in Florida. I make my own movies. I have my own life, and nobody controls me. And I feel, like I said, I feel bad for, I would say 80, 90% of actors in Hollywood who have to shut up every day and they can't say a word about anything ever because their career and their representation and everything will be completely over in less than 24 hours. And I don't care how much they made movies or whatever, they'll let you go, they'll fire you, they'll spit on you, and they'll be like, I thought you were my friend for 40 years.
Wow.
Oh no, no, you like Trump or you like you like closing the border, or you like stopping this woke agenda that we want so much, or DEI or whatever. Okay, see ya. Good night. That's what they do. And that's not right. That's a sign of bullying. You know, George, you know better than anybody.
Yeah, no,
This man
absolutely.
knows, you know what's up, and how they treat you when they have power, and they decide they use you like pawns. I have my life. Nobody moves me unless God Himself. And you confront it. You confront it with something very powerful. Because I've been in the industry, guys, for it's coming up to 40 years. So they make you sign on a dotted line to the devil, or you're on your own. And when you're on your own and you speak the truth, you're going to be confronted. You're going to be fired. You're going to be let go. Things are going to happen. Look what happened. Everything is out in the open now.
Mhm.
Everything's coming out. It's front of. I've talked to people who have seen all this incredible news and information about how much money they have spent and wasted, billions of dollars, blah blah blah, and they still believe that they was right to waste that money, or they still believe that the woke agenda is right, or the DEI is really doing the right thing. They want to, like, no matter what. It's like they're losing team. The team is going down, and they still go with the team.
Mhm.
Guys, I've never seen anything like that in my life. It's either they're extremely ignorant, like to a point of no return, like zero IQ, or they're paid to say that, or we live in the matrix, which is like a non-realistic world. I can't. I've never seen people follow other people off a cliff. I've never seen that, guys. I've never seen people just completely follow into into the cliff like with no problem. Yeah, we're gonna fall off the cliff. We're Democrats. Let's go. We're gonna fall off the cliff. We're gonna keep burning the houses. We're gonna keep having more homeless. It's cool. We're gonna open the border. More fentanyl. Low education. The dumbest people on the planet. Yeah, we're gonna keep doing that. Let's go. I've never seen it before.
I don't think a lot of people have ever seen this before. And that, you know what? I'm a firm believer that if something's not broke, don't fix it, right? You talked about the golden age of Hollywood. You talked about when things actually worked, when millions
Yeah.
of Americans watched these films, when Hollywood, California, the United States was viewed as this beacon of just inspiration that so many millions of immigrants wanted to come to. And I would argue a main reason because of that is because of what they were watching on television.
Yeah.
If you didn't have Hollywood after World War II or during the Cold War, or so many of these monumental moments in world history might have been rewritten in so many different ways. So the question I really have is how the hell did Hollywood go from that type of power and impact of that golden age to this DEI woke stuff that has resulted in it becoming not only a laughing stock, but its bottom line being affected, and no one really watching things like the Golden Globes Awards anymore or Hollywood productions. And now you're having the advent of all of these other mediums kind of taking market share away. So the question is very simple. How did Hollywood get infiltrated to shift it from the golden age into this dark age? And who's really pulling the strings as somebody on the inside like you that would know?
For me, it's very simple. I'm very spiritual. So for
Mhm.
me, my personal view, this is mine, not the world, not the news or anybody. No, nobody infiltrates me besides God and my connection with the spiritual power that I have. And I always had very good spiritual connection. So for me, it's the devil. Very simple.
Mm.
Mm.
The darkness will succumb the individual and just grow on that. It's just poison. It's a virus. And over the years, we've been seeing that. So they don't stop that. They're attacking their children. They're attacking women. Now, thank God, President Trump is stopping as much as he can. But you've seen, in sports, in the Olympics, we had a woman almost die in a boxing event. Those things are happening. And those things are happening because the devil wants it to be. The devil wants women to succumb and children. Why? Because those are the only things that give life to
Mm.
the next generation. Children, wives, husbands, having children to grow to the next generation. But they want to stop that. They wanted to stop that with the vaccine and everything else politically, vaccine, riots, terrorism, whatever works. There's powerful people in the world. If you believe in goodness, you truly have to believe in evil. It doesn't work one way or the other. There's not just 100% goodness. We as humans make mistakes. We sin every day. That's why we have God. That's why we have the Bible. That's why we have Jesus that died for us, so we can repent. That's the only purpose of it. Uh, but there's people who believe in controlling the future of our planet and society because there's too many. When I was in politics, and as you know, George, I mean, when you're in politics, you see an amount of spending
Yeah.
of money being laundered that makes the mafia look like smurfs, like nothing, like they don't even exist. The money that is being transported of the American people, and I'm talking about America, this happens in every country, in Italy too.
Yes,
Believe me.
well, very much.
We know.
Yes.
But it's a control that, just like the mafia, just like in those movies, I come and protect your liquor store, you got to pay me. So we pay our taxes. What do we get in return? So that's the whole thing with this world. It's just money, and now we have Bitcoin. Now we have ownerships of land, ownerships of oil, ownerships of the future. The world is owned by few people. Less than 10 people own this planet, and they have a lot at stake because without humans, so one side wants to destroy because we're growing too fast, and one side wants to keep going because they need humans to keep this planet going. If without humans, there's no planet, there's no country. And that's why Trump stepped in by the grace of God and said, listen, if you don't save America, which is the last beacon of hope in this world, it's over. China, look what China's doing, guys. People are just, they're sleeping, playing on their computer, on their phone every day, going, la, la, la. Listen, China's building cars 1/3 of the price of our cars here with more technology, more horsepower, better batteries than any other, even better than Tesla right now. You have a $40,000 Chinese car, full all-wheel drive, 600 over 600 horsepower, with everything in it. It can even go in the water. You can even take it in Miami and go in the water. To freaking, you can drive this car through the whole ocean beach. All right, you can't sell them here because obviously China and America, communist country and all, but they're building stuff. They're growing that country, people, and Trump knows it. He knows it, and that's they're building rockets, they're building power, the nuclear plants, their military is growing. They have 2 billion people. They're selling their cars to Europe, and once
Yes.
those cars go to Europe, and they destroy the European market, because if I can buy a car for $20 and your car over here costs for $2,000, and this car is more than yours for $20, I'm gonna get $20. I don't care where it's made, and they're better because they're made there. And for some reason, the Chinese, for some reason, they know what's up. They know in the last 4 years, it was their shot to say, we're going to grow this country in 4 years bigger than ever. And they've been quiet, kind of like just laying low, building their country. And we're complaining, butting heads. The Democrats and the Chinese are going, see ya. But then Trump stepped in and they're like, okay, now we got, because they thought he was going to lose. So the China market, they would just keep going, keep going. They grow. They're growing very fast. They're building skyscrapers. They're building cities. If you go to I mean, everything is 4, 5, 6 times the size of what we build in the United States. Their airport, the size of our cities. So there's something to be said about being smart as Americans, and this country was number one. Now we're not even like education. I mean, I have 3 kids who had to, schools, public schools. It's just everything is falling apart,
Mm.
and thank God we're at a time right now where we can get it back. We can get it back, and we're getting it back. But we were on the verge of falling down that cliff with everybody else that's lunatic and wants to fall off that cliff. They basically they had no problem destroying the United States. None. And I'm glad the American people, including Democrats, voters, they said, no, we can't do that. I'm sorry. We can't lose everything. We worked too hard for this, you know?
Well, yes, and you made a point about many actors living off their paycheck and not being able to be free to talk their mind and to
Yep.
express their values. So this is, I think, very important. As you know, we live in Los Angeles. We work in films as well because we in political documentaries together, but also an entertainment project. As how we landed in LA. So I
Mm.
kind of approach this world in a moment where actually, as a vocal Trump supporter, but also in the middle of the storm. And I realized that there is a big barrier into between creativity, pure creativity that made the golden age of Hollywood, and an agenda. Now,
Yeah.
while I believe not everybody is agreeing with this agenda,
Hmm.
most of them have been compelled to follow this agenda just to exist and preserve
Yeah.
their their living. Now,
Right.
I believe somehow that Trump winning with his bold attitude, that is
Mhm.
straightforward talking, is politically incorrect common sense, though, is gonna allow all these people always to take back their power and to dare provide content that are far beyond this DI work
Hmm.
forced nonsense, right? I remember in the 80s and 90s, so your movies where black and white people were completely integrated at the same level. You didn't need to put them in a box, and I think put them in a box, it's what created discrimination and has
Absolutely.
created frustration. So you have suffered the concept because you were very well established already when you raised your voice to and you
Hmm.
decided to take this bold attitude to actually speak your mind. What price did you have to pay for that?
Well, I can give you an example. I mean, when I went to Cleveland to speak for President Trump, he was running to become president. I knew he was going to win. And also, I was the first celebrity from California, from Hollywood, to speak up for President Trump. He was my candidate when he was running. I was the first one on Fox and all those shows to
Mhm.
support President Trump. So I was heavily attacked as far as it, and it was started slow. It was kind of like the looks, not being able to go to castings anymore, call stuff. Like I was in. All of a sudden, things started slowing down, just little by little. My agent stopped calling little by little. Things like that. And then I went to Cleveland to speak for President Trump. And like I don't mean millions of people saw me, and it was the first night, and it was an incredible speech that I gave to the American people and to the world how I felt about Jesus Christ and how I felt about President Trump and how he was my guy and this and that. And that night, basically, my phone blew up with negativity from my social media to from texts from people that I even didn't even talk in a long time, and they attacked me. I was like, I haven't seen you. What the heck? So they all had something to say. And then I got back home the next day. I got back to California, and I had no calls from. Basically, I had no representation anymore. I had no manager. That manager was gone. Like the manager that I made money to, that manager made some good money, right? Um, Gone. Agent gone. Commercial agent gone. Everybody who I needed in Hollywood to help me get a job and to keep doing my career that I've been doing for 30 some years, all gone. Friends of mine, so-called friends, people in Hollywood, uh, stopped following me. They blocked me. They treated me like basically I had leprosy. I was like, I was untouchable, and like, please keep away. And yeah, so I started a new career. I was completely just, and if you don't have faith, if you don't have a strong will, that Italian will that I have, and Czech in Italian will, because my mom is from Czech, that will
Good.
that I've had, um, I probably would have gone down the wrong path, or had to apologize or some stupid thing like that. But I packed my bags and I moved to Florida, and I went in construction, and I went in the whole different world of and I picked myself up where I could pay my bills and take care of my children and all that stuff. And then I went back into business, got that going, and now I do even bigger projects. And I'm not in construction, but I'm in building and in real estate.
Great.
So yeah, it was an adventure, but I'm back on top, bigger than ever. But you know, it was unfair that I had to go through that. For what? What
Absolutely.
what I what did I do wrong? You know what I mean? It's like you think about it, like what did I do wrong to deserve? And not only that, my children, the way they were treated from other people at school, from their teacher, my mom, the way she was treated at a country club in Los Angeles, and other places. My sister, everybody in my family was treated like we were the worst people on this planet because we supported freedom, we supported closing our border, all the things that we I can go on forever, supporting our flag, our military, and all this nonsense. So at that point, I was pretty much put in a place like a gladiator. You say Roman gladiator. I was like, you either go in there and keep fighting with the lions and the
Yes.
warriors, or you go back in the dungeon and live in darkness with the tail between your legs. So I said, that's not me. So I picked myself up and kept swinging, and I'm better than ever. So there you go. There's a little everything in a nutshell.
Absolutely, and they are very proud of people like for having on our side people like you, and hopefully, I just would like to see people's faces on the other side that are discriminated, cut off people, talents like you, big talents like you. Now that Trump is back in office, guys, what do you think now? Just tell me. I would like to see like faces
I told
dropping.
people, I told President Trump several times, I want to work for you, whatever you want me to do. And I don't want to necessarily work for you. I want to work for you because I adore the guy. I think he's the greatest man, one of the great, besides my father and Donald Trump. I mean, I love this man. I love him because of everything he represents, and because I have kind of, I've known him over, I've met him, I've been around him. I know what he's part of my life. And so how could I not love this guy, and everything that he stands for, because he saved our country, but in a personal level, he saved my life because and I met Trump. I remember the first time I met Trump. I met President Trump in the '90s, when he was the billionaire Mr. Donald Trump. And I remember I was going to a party, and I wrote this in my book. It's out now. You can get it. Um, and I wrote that I went to New York. I was invited by Valentino,
Mm,
Okay.
the huge designer, great guy,
yes, we know
right?
him very well.
And amazing guy. And I was invited to one of his stores opening in New York City, Manhattan, and it was raining that day. So I went there, and I'm running with the suit that he gave me, and I'm all drenched. And as soon as I got to the red carpet, Trump pulled up with his limo, and he came out, and he recognized me, and I recognized him. I'm like, Mr. Trump. And he's like, oh, Antonio. I said, you want my limo that can help you maybe if you want to go back to the hotel and dry up and change or whatever. And I said, Mr. Trump, thank you very much. I don't need to. I'm okay. I'll be fine. And I remember that was like real to me. That was the first time I met President Trump. I didn't know him never met him before. And that's the kind of guy that he is. So I already knew. And so that was the first time we met. And ever since, the few times after that, I hosted the White House Christmas event, which was amazing. And I've been to Mar-a-Lago, but I'm not the one that shows up and bothers the guy. Oh, I want to take a picture with Trump. Listen, he's doing so much. I had the blessing of meeting him. People know that I want to help him or whatever. If he needs me, he knows where to find me. Yeah, I'm a phone call away, and I'll drop everything to do whatever he needs me to do. And I told him it'd be great for me to be associated with anything with schools PE programs, because I would love to bring the American style PE programs for all our children in schools, where they running and doing push-ups and pull-ups and sit-ups every day in school, like I used to do, like America used to do for children to get fit in school, better food for their cafeteria, all those things I would love to do. I mean, it would be something that would be very easy, and I'd be very passionate about, because that's the lifestyle I live. But yeah, I support the guy. He's the best. I love President Trump, and
You
I'm
know,
not
so,
afraid to say it.
and you shouldn't be. So the media tried to vilify President Trump for years, calling him the second coming of
Yeah,
you name an evil entity. That's what
yeah, the
the,
worst ever.
that's what
Yeah,
the
they
fake
are the worst ever, George. They
that
are.
that's why they're called fake news, and why they've been exposed to the tune of billions of dollars in corruption just this past week alone. So it's an incredible
Yeah,
situation that
yeah.
President Trump was absolutely right about, and now people actually can draw their own conclusions. And you've took a lot of heat. You lost jobs. You were attacked personally. I was
Mhm.
attacked personally. I
Yeah.
lost jobs. I lost a lot of things. I was very fortunate to have my wife Simone stand by my side and stick to the truth. And now,
And
as
you
I
wrote that amazing book that you wrote, explaining whatever all the things that happened to you, and that shows bravery, because if you don't put it down, if you don't have a chance to speak about what happened, we're just going to be bullied and just tossed on the side. And you know better than anybody, you guys, what the whole thing, when you're attacked and you're put in the square, like you're automatically put into the square, and they want to embarrass you and destroy you. And to me, that's one thing that I've always hated. Like, especially in the last, I would say, 10 years or whatever, things have changed, because blacklisting, back in the day in the 40s, when we're talking about the blacklisting people, and now we're living it again. in a different way where you can't, and then it doesn't even make any sense. Like there's no logic to it. What are they representing? What are they standing for? And what's the point of yelling and screaming where you're yelling to have more open borders, more drugs, more sexual orientations for children of any, more abortions, more this, more that. I mean, that's what you stand for. I don't want nothing to do with it because you live in this non-existent reality. Like it's sometimes what we've seen in the last few years has been like a mega nightmare that you're like, did that really happen? I mean, I remember seeing videos in the last 4 years of President Biden, Joe Biden, at the White House, walking through the White House. When they did this, President Biden is walking, doing it, whatever he was doing, because he hasn't done anything. But it wasn't even him. Like I saw President Joe Biden, the guy that I thought was him, was somebody else, walk on TV, and every single station said that it was Joe Biden.
Acting opportunities at the White House.
But I
Casting
saw
calls.
it was a different
Casting for
man.
Joe
He was
Biden.
6'4". It's like, so what is it? I mean, like I've seen and think there's just an example of many things that I've seen, like, and I would look at my girl and like, what did we just see right now? What is going on? It's like the Matrix. It's all fake. They used other people. They used body doubles. They tell you the fakeness stuff. Now the Kamala interview where it was cut and all. Man, this is like living in a movie, like a CIA, like science
Sorry.
fiction, like Matrix or something. I don't know. I see things, especially in the last 4 years. I've seen more. I haven't even seen the most craziest things happen in just 4 years. I mean, we've seen other things in the past that made no sense at all, but we've seen a lot more in the last four. I think we've seen the craziest time we ever seen visually, like going live on a daily routine in the last 4 years. I believe it. That's it. Aliens, balloons flying over our country. Should I go on? I mean, it's just
Yes. Let's
Keep
keep
going.
going because
Let-
it's so fascinating what you're saying.
because
So,
I mean,
every day seems like
it's
it's a year of the news
Yes.
nowadays.
we had drones a few months ago. We had those horrible plane crashes that made no sense.
Yes.
Like
Let's talk about
incredible
it.
people are. It's. I mean, I can go on like the terrible things that we witness and the struggles that we witness with just living in general, just living as a human being, and how our Constitution has been attacked constantly. Our First Amendment, our Second Amendment, everything. In the last 4 years have been crucial for a human society, for the future of our the world. I think because
And
I
it's
have never seen anything like that in my life.
and I agree with you. It's a spiritual battle before anything else. I believe that there is sometimes no a major explanation than choosing your side, good versus evil. And there are many people embrace evil are losing because we'll keep fighting. And I believe there's a karmic evolution on that. And we see Donald Trump survived the two assassination attempts. He survived judicial prosecution. Can you believe even giving audience and credit to Stormy Daniels? I mean, like they use the worst bottom feeders to put mud on people, and then what they keep doing and trying to assassinate people
The devil.
reputations, and the devil, like deceit, lies, and twisting realities all the way just
All
to
the way.
destroy your because destroying reputation is like destroying your entire persona. Until they could not get to him this way, they try to kill him. And I don't believe that this what do you think about this assassination attempt? Do you believe it was a crazy person who woke up in the morning and decided to assassinate Trump, or the other
No.
people? Yeah.
No, it's all internal. It's all internal. I mean, how you're let. Listen, I have trained. I've trained with weapons. I've trained with a lot of really smart people in that world for many years. With the top of the top. At a moment in my life, I was actually going to join the Secret Service, but I was too old because the cutoff point is 32 years old. So I know those people, and there's no way that kid got on that
Mm.
rooftop without some people already knew that he was going there and being allowed to do that. Everybody's common sense. So it's all internal. And they were going to assassinate the president in front of the world to see, to embarrass him, to assassinate, to end this nonsense. And the devil failed because God intervened. And God said, you cannot do this. It stops right here. And as soon as that stopped right there, and Trump, amazing President Trump, got up and said, fight, fight, fight. When he went like that, it wasn't just fight, fight, fight. It was everybody fighting with him. Through
Yes.
God, through the Spirit of the Lord, saying, we're going to fight against this nonsense. And we're going to fight against the devil, and we're going to win. And ever since that happened, remember, before he gave that speech, Kamala and the whole devilish party was organizing other things all the time, 24/7, raising billions of dollars, which they're in debt right now because they lost everything. But they didn't care who was leading that party, whether it was Kamala, whatever, because it was all put into place. It's like these stupid pawns. You're going to win no matter what, no matter how dumb you are,
Yeah.
because we control the system. But God intervened, the American people intervened with our Constitution. Those patriots, the patriotism came out in a way that it has never been seen since 1776. Because people said, we're fed up. We believe in God. We want to be left alone. We want to take care of our country. We want our oil. We want to take care of our farmers. We want to take care of police officers. We want to close our freaking border. And we got to back our flag up there. And we want to love our country and so much more. Our family, our values, God, Jesus Christ. I want to say Jesus all the time. And I don't want you to tell me otherwise. There's a man and there's a woman, and that's it. There's no other craziness. And stop this abortion stuff. Why the abortions have, why do we have to kill 1,000 babies every day? You're trying to tell me there's all these things, but the devil works like that, like we just discussed. So it's interesting that we got to the bottom, to the end of it, where in 4 years it was getting worse and worse and worse and worse and worse and worse and worse, to the point where even people, remember, I talked to some folks that said to me, I was going to vote for Kamala, but I just couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it. And so I got to that point, and I'm glad it did, and we won. And we won that fight. But the devil is not going to stop. The fight is going to continue. That's why President Trump and his entire administration is not stopped, because 4 years are going to go very fast. And we have, imagine this, and I want everyone to imagine this, a mountain of problems. Imagine the size of Everest, the whole mountain of Everest, thousands and thousands of feet. I mean, this thing is the tallest mountain, right? K2. Those tallest mountains in the Himalayas. That's how much problems we have. And we just have a shovel, which President Trump has with his team, and we're shoveling the problems.
Anthony, absolutely. A final question, Anthony, and thank you so much for taking your time today to answer so many
My
of our
pleasure.
questions. I think when we look back at the Trump era, there are going to be two things that people are going to focus on. One are the policy successes, whether it's foreign policy or economic revitalization, and probably re-identifying what it even means to be an American and how
Yep.
the United States as a republic functions. That's
Correct.
one critical thing that I think the history books are going to write. The second thing I think that history is going to remember, maybe not the books, but certainly millions of Americans will remember, is how they were at the precipice of having to choose between what they truly believed in, meaning their values, their traditions, their God, or a candidate that they liked, like Donald Trump, to vote for, versus keeping their job, keeping their family, losing their job, losing their money, losing their livelihoods, or gaining their livelihoods. My
Yep.
question to you based on this is, if you could go back in time, if it's 2015 all over again, 2016, and you're invited to speak at the RNC convention, and you're about to go give your first interview on Fox or whatever other media platform was talking about Trump back then, would you go back and do it exactly the same way you did again, or would you change something?
I would do it exactly the same way, my friend. I wouldn't change it. I wouldn't change. I've been asked that question many times, especially in the Hollywood relation. You lost the
Mm-hmm.
job and this and that. I wouldn't change anything. I could never sleep at night knowing that I signed with the devil. I'm never going to sign with it. I've seen the devil with my own eyes. He's got nothing on me. That I'm protected by the Holy Spirit. And so, no matter how bad, no matter how the end is going to look, I'm choosing Jesus over anything. So that world, which I survived and conquered, will never take over me. Never. In Jesus' name, never.
Thank you so much. It's so enlightening to hear from you and your strength.
Thank you, guys.
When people can find you and where we can watch next to your project.
Well, like I said, I'm very much involved in aura-hotel.com. You can check it out there, make an appointment with me, because this new hotel, prestigious 5-star hotel that is going in downtown, is going to really take a lot of my time. But I'm still making movies, and I'm still on the social media, obviously on my TikTok, on my Instagram. Those are and obviously my Twitter, my X. That's pretty much the ones that I'm on, or at least I share my views, and I also share my work. But I want to continue racing professionally. I want to race cars again. I want to get back into. I want to do some boxing events, some celebrity, boxing events where I have a chance to box some people, like everybody's doing for some reason. So I'm just full of a lot of things that I want to do, and I would love to fight Jake Paul and those guys, for a celebrity match. It'd be fun. So I'm one of those guys that never stops with ideas, and if the opportunities come, I'm going to do it all. So keep going, keep punching.
Congratulations for everything, and
Thank
we'll
you.
tune in, and the audience of Global View will tune in too. Thanks again,
Thank you,
and
guys.
hope to have you back.
Love to anytime.
Thanks so much.